On this Juneteenth, we were told many of the marches would begin this hour, and from the pictures across the country, the turnout so far has been significant in many different American cities. A bit earlier today, I spoke with Dr. Ben Carson, Secretary for HUD, Housing and Urban Development, as he was today earlier in Florida. Secretary Carson, thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Would you support making today a national holiday?
Yes, I think to commemorate the emancipation of slaves is a wonderful thing, providing freedom in our country, but also celebrating the hundreds of thousands of people who were of multiple different ethnicities who gave their lives in order that we could achieve that freedom in this country. It's a very significant forward step.
I wanted to ask you that, and I wasn't quite sure your answer, and I wasn't quite sure how you would answer this either. Senator Tim Scott said earlier in the week, he said, I don't know how to tell people the nation is not racist. I'll say it again, we're not a racist country. We deal with racism because there is racism in the country. Both are true, not mutually exclusive. Can you understand why he would say that?
I totally understand that. You know, people want to ascribe racism throughout our system so that they can say we need to change our system. Our system is an excellent system which has provided opportunities for all kinds of people and provided, you know, the highest level of living for anybody in the world. But are there defective people? Are there people who have hatred in their hearts? Of course there are. We have not reached nirvana yet.
Come back to the first question. Nancy Pelosi removed a few portraits of former speakers from the Capitol just yesterday. There's a push to remove several statues as well in the Capitol. And it goes on. Columbus, Ohio has decided just yesterday to remove the statue of Columbus. There's a push in New York City Council here to remove the statue of Thomas Jefferson. And I guess in summation, do you think this is necessary for an American cultural cleanse?
No, I don't think so. I think it's rather silly, quite frankly.
Silly.
You know, those who forget their history are bound to repeat the mistakes from their history. And, you know, what intelligent people do is they analyze their history, both the good things and the bad things, and they learn from those things, and they're able to advance. But if you try to hide them, what good does that do? It makes absolutely no sense.
Take the city of Atlanta, for example, where there's been a lot of unrest. The mayor's black. The DA is black. I believe 58% of the police force is African American. You've heard the phrase systemic racism. I don't know how you interpret that. Would you say the city of Atlanta is operating under that racism, systemic, or would you say that is progress?
I would say that's tremendous progress. And, you know, many of the large cities in our country, you know, have blacks in the highest executive positions. So if there's systemic racism, then I guess it means that they're responsible for it. And I don't think that there is systemic racism, so I don't think they're responsible for it. But if you take the one, you got to take the other. You're
in Orlando for a very specific reason. Part of the reason is to push these opportunity zones. James Clyburn, a Democratic African-American congressman, earlier in the week talked about these opportunity zones, and he says all it amounts to is gentrification. He suggests that the minorities who live in those neighborhoods do not reap the benefits of the investment. Is he right about that? That minorities are moved out and the investors with the money just move in?
Certainly not what I've seen. You know, I was in Tampa earlier this morning. I'm in Orlando now. I'm not seeing that at all. I'm seeing minorities benefiting tremendously from some of the beautiful projects that are being created here. Multi-family, multi-income, multi-purpose, with appropriate, you know, surrounding structures, grocery stores, commercial facilities, and job offerings and training facilities. So, you know, there's some people who expect you to wave a magic wand and things to be beautiful for everybody immediately. It doesn't quite work that way. We're making progress.
I've asked you a lot of questions about race in America today on this June 19th. In the short time I have left, what do you think we have to learn?
I think we need to learn that we're all in the same boat. And if part of the boat sinks, the rest of it goes down too. So we need to be concerned about each other. We need to recognize that this country was founded on Judeo-Christian principles, including caring about your neighbor, loving your fellow man, having values and principles that guide your life. And if we reject those, then we end up replacing them with something else, and it's unlikely to be as good as what we had.
Thank you for spending some time with us today, Mr. Secretary. See you soon in Washington or New York City or somewhere in between. Thank you.